Kirby Smart College football needs to fix this. Chip Towers, The Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Miami Gardens, Florida. Kirby Smart typically doesn't offer strong opinions in public. He did on Saturday, after his 6th-ranked Georgia Bulldogs annihilated number 5 Florida State 63-3 in the Orange Bowl Saturday night. He stood on the proverbial stump with a megaphone. "Let me say something," he offered without prompting at the end of his 20-minute post-game press conference at Hard Rock Stadium. "I may be wrong here and maybe this will be a bad soundbite, but people need to see what happened tonight and they need to fix this. It needs to be fixed. It's very unfortunate that FSU, who has a good team and a good football program, is in the position they're in. Everybody can say it's their fault and it's their own problem, all right? And everybody can say we had our guys and they didn't have our guys. I can listen to all that. But college football has got to decide what they want. People are also reading Sioux City Journal's top stories of 2023. Number 7 Wall Lake trucker David Schultz disappears without a trace, half done. Rebuild US 20 gives drivers glimpse of future. Woodbury County Court report for December 26, 2023. Dordt University says Donald Trump rally is incongruent with school event. Moved marriage licenses for Woodbury County for December 27, 2023. Taqueria La Fogata brings authentically Mexican meals to former Tony's Pizza location. Partners team up to open Vermilion's first brewery. Reward fund established to help find missing Wall Lake trucker. Winter storm provides Siouxland with white Christmas. Wife of missing Wall Lake truck driver David Schultz. "I want my husband. It's exhausting. It's awful." SD Governor Christie known to stump for Trump at January 3 rally in Sioux City. No injuries reported in Vermilion plane crash. Rock Valley woman killed in crash near Iraton High School. Wrestling. A look at Northwest Iowa's best coming out of break. Dear Abby, Mann's repeated absences now have an explanation. It wasn't exactly a drop mic moment, but it came from a 3-minute diatribe the Bulldogs' 8th-year coach went on at the end of the post-game question-and-answer session that also involved players Kendall Milton and Kamari Lassiter. He dove-tailed from college football's problems into what was right about Milton and Lassiter, both of who chose to opt in rather than opt out for the Orange Bowl. The primary difference in the Seminoles and the Bulldogs in Saturday's game was at least 24 FSU players either opted out due to the inherent risks to their prospective NFL careers or to enter the transfer. But Georgia dealt with some of those issues as well. About 20 Bulldogs have entered the portal since it opened on December 4, with more expected to join before the transfer window closes on January 3. The difference was the roles the departees played before they left. For the Bulldogs, it mostly was players who didn't play prominent roles. For FSU, it was seemingly everybody who did. 12 Seminole starters did not participate. A couple of those, including star quarterback Jordan Travis, were sidelined with injuries. The reserves who needed to step up in their absence simply weren't up to the task. "I take full ownership for all things that happened on that field tonight," FSU coach Mike Norvell said, choking back emotion. "We have plenty of opportunities to grow. There probably would have been far fewer opt-outs for both teams had they been included in the college football playoff. Both would have been had the 12-team playoff began this year. But, ironically, FSU and its ACC brethren formed an alliance with 2 other leagues to protest the expansion, which delayed it a year. Next year, the playoff officially expands to 12 teams. But for the other 121 teams that don't get in, the portal and opting out of bowl games will continue to be a debilitating issue for college football's postseason. "I know things are going to change next year," Smart said from the postgame podium. "You know what? There's going to still be bowl games outside of those. People got to decide what they want and what they really want to get out of it, because it's really unfortunate for those kids on that sideline that had to play in that game that didn't have their full arsenal, and it affected the game, 100%. The difference was depth and attitude. Georgia was much better on both. Here are 5 more things we learned from Saturday's game. Bowers' farewell. It turned out that Brock Bowers played his last game as a Bulldog in the SEC championship game on December 2. Georgia went to great lengths to keep that a mystery. The Bulldogs bothered to put its star tight end on display during media viewing at their final Orange Bowl practice on Friday. But Bowers did not dress out Saturday and wasn't even on the field with his teammates for pregame warm-ups. Whether the late-week ruse had any effect on the game's outcome is unclear. But Smart said his postseason presence did. The impact he had over the last 30 days was tremendous, Smart said. He came out the SEC championship game really beat up and banged up. But he did all kinds of work to get healed and get healthy, went to every single practice and all the meetings. Sophomore Oscar Delp got his 4th start of the season at tight end and finished with 3 catches for 31 yards. Freshman Lawson Lucky caught the 2nd pass of his career and first for a touchdown, a 4-yarder. Redshirt freshman Pierce Sperlin also played some snaps. They'll all have quite the legacy to live up to in Bauer's absence. The 6'4", 240-pound junior from Napa, California, will head to the NFL draft as an inarguable member of the Bulldogs' mythical Mount Rushmore of football greats. A back-to-back winner of the John Mackey Award for the nation's top tight end, Bowers joined Herschel Walker and David Pollock as the only 3-time All-Americans in Georgia history. In 40 games and 37 starts, Bowers' college career saw him catch 175 passes for 2,538 yards and 26 touchdowns, which are 5th and 2nd, respectively, on Georgia's career lists. He had another 193 yards and 5 touchdowns rushing the football. Beat up Bulldogs. Bowers was one of several players that were sidelined with injuries. Junior offensive tackle Amarius Mims, ankle, redshirt freshman. Cornerback Julian Humphrey, shoulder, and inside linebacker Smail Mondon, foot, also didn't play. Mims went through the same charade as Bowers on Friday. The 6'7", 340-pound junior also is expected to enter the NFL draft as a potential first-round prospect. That's fairly incredible considering he played in only 28 of Georgia's 44 games the last 3 seasons with 8 starts. Mondon's absence meant the Bulldogs were without both their starting inside linebackers of the last 2 seasons. Jamin Dumas Johnson, who had been out with a broken forearm, transferred to Kentucky. Mondon, a 6'3", 225-pound junior, was an All-SEC selection after recording 68 tackles this season. Freshman C.J. Allen and sophomore Hilon Walker started and finished with 6 and 4 tackles, respectively. Also sidelined with injuries Saturday were split end Rara Thomas, defensive lineman Chrisen Miller and outside linebacker Damon Wilson. Roster management. Now that the season is over, Smart and his staff will turn their attention to roster management. And there's a lot of managing left to do. As things stood when the Bulldogs departed Hard Rock Stadium, they were well over the NCAA's 85 scholarship limit, and officially, they look to be at about 91. The Bulldogs already have seen about 20 players go into the transfer portal. At least 18 of them held scholarships, along with the 28 players Georgia signed in December plus the 4 players that came in via the portal. That leaves the Dogs with a net gain of 14. Meanwhile, the Bulldogs likely aren't done in the portal or signing high school players. So, more attrition is imminent. Some of that is expected to come naturally in the form of seniors and juniors entering the NFL draft. The deadline for underclassmen to submit their names is January 15th. Most are expected to make decisions known well before that. At least 3 juniors are expected to be in that number: Bowers, Mims and cornerback Kamari Lassiter. In fact, Smart said he advised Lassiter and his mother in a meeting to move on and skip the bowl due to receiving a consensus first per second round evaluation. He called me 2 days later and said, "Coach, I can't do it. I want to be out there. I want to play with my guys." I think he did it against his mother's will, to be honest. But that's who he is. This dude right here wants to play football. That's all he cares about, is playing football with his teammates. He ain't worried about the next thing. Less predictable is what seniors might do who have the option of returning to play another year due to the COVID year eligibility option. Senior defensive lineman Warren Brinson and Nazir Stackhouse and offensive tackle Xavier Truss fall into that category. Georgia's players were instructed not to discuss those decisions after Saturday's game. Stackhouse was the only one to provide a decision day deadline. "I haven't made a decision yet, but y'all will know by the 3rd of January, said Stackhouse, a 6'3", 320-pound senior from Stone Mountain. "I'll put it on social media." Beck for Heisman. If Georgia launches a Heisman Trophy campaign for rising senior quarterback Carson Beck next year, Dylan Bell will chair the committee. The sophomore receiver, running back from Houston, stumped for his quarterback when asked about him after Saturday's game. "Heisman. I'm telling y'all, he's going to win the Heisman," Bell said about how Beck might do in his second season as Georgia's starter. "We've been talking about this. He's going to do it. We're probably going to win another national championship. He reads defenses so well, he's got an arm, he's so confident. We all have faith and trust in Carson." Beck was quietly efficient on Saturday. Out of the game by halftime, he completed 13 of 18 passes for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. Several of those completions went to Bell, who finished with a game-high 86 yards on 5 receptions. In his first year as a starter, Beck finished second in Georgia history for single-season passing yards with 3,941 yards. He passed Aaron Murray, 3,893 in 2012, but fell short of Stetson Bennett's 4,127 yards in 2022. Beck also went 5-1 against top 25 opponents. "We're capable of being explosive again like we were this year," Beck said of next season. "There is so much we can improve on between now and next season. We'll get back to working on it in about a week." How about them backups? Georgia brought nearly 100 players to the Orange Bowl and, thanks to the complexion of the game, almost all of them played. Most notably were those who will be playing stepped-up roles next season. Quarterback Gunnar Stockton was one such player. The redshirt freshman from Rabun County played almost the entire second half and finished with 96 yards and 2 touchdowns on 6 of 10 passing and added another 46 yards on 7 rushing attempts. "I was really pleased," Smart said of Stockton. "He was a kid who didn't get a lot of reps during the year in terms of games. Brock Vandegrift got most of those. At halftime, I said, look, we're going to go out there and all the starters are going to play and you're going to run the one offense and you're going to execute and play. The only way you're going to get better at that position is to go play meaningful minutes and get time," and thought it was big for in. It was big for Jackson Muschamp, too. A junior from Columbia, South Carolina, Muschamp is a walk-on who also happens to be the oldest son of defensive coordinator Will Muschamp. Jackson got to handle the Bulldogs' final possession of the game, and his 14-yard run on 3rd and 5 was one of 2 third-down conversions he executed that helped Georgia run out the clock to end the game inside the Seminoles' 25-yard line. Muschamp's run, which came on a pass play, got a huge reaction from the Bulldogs' sideline, especially his father. "He was over with the defense and I said, Coach Muschamp, you might want to step up here, because Jackson is about to sprint out and throw a pass." And Coach Muschamp was like, "Oh, God. Oh, God." He sprinted out, they pulled it up and he stuck his foot in the ground and got the first down. He really looked good in that jersey number he had on, too. Muschamp wears 16, the same jersey number Smart wore when he played for the Bulldogs in the 1990s. 0 comments love, 0 funny, 0 wow, 0 sad, 0 angry, 0. Tags DCC Wire TN's NFL Pro Football Pro Sports. Be the first to know. Get local news delivered to your inbox. Sign up. I understand and agree that registration on or use of this site constitutes agreement to its user agreement and privacy policy.